Good morning, everyone. So, my name is Dr. Ahima Amalat. I am working as an assistant professor in the Department of Mathematics, Faculty of Arts and Science, Bharat Institute of Higher Education and Research. So, today the topic of my presentation will be nonlinear integer programming, and this is a topic. Uh, this is Unit 3 from the course named Optimization Techniques. So first let me explain what a nonlinear integer programming is. So as you all already know, a linear programming assumptions or approximations may also lead to appropriate problem representations over the range of decision variables that is being considered. So a general optimization problem is nothing but we select a set of n decision variables called x1, x2 to xn from a given feasible region in such a way as to optimize. Your optimize means to minimize or maximize a given objective function f of x1, x2 to xn of the given decision variables. So the problem is called a nonlinear programming problem if the objective function is nonlinear or the feasible region is determined by nonlinear constraints. So thus, in a maximization form, the general nonlinear program is stated as maximization of the objective function f of x1, x2 to xn subject to a given constraints g1 to gm. Okay, so since this is a maximization problem, the symbol we use will be less than or equal to. Okay, so for the constraints. So where each of the constraints G1 through GM are given. So a special case is the linear program that has been treated previously. So the obvious association for this case would be f of x1, x2, comma, and so on xn will be equal to summation over n cj xj. So cj is nothing but the coefficient of the basic variable xj, and gi would be that is this is the nothing but the constraints, set of constraints g1 to gm where I varies from 1 to m. Okay, so gi x1 comma x2 to xn will be equal to summation of j is equal to 1 to n aij xj. Okay, aij is the coefficient of the uh, variables of the constraints. Okay, so we note that the non-negativity restrictions on variables can be included simply by appending the additional constraints gm m plus I. Okay, so we can include a non-negative constraint restriction on the variable where the constraint gm plus I will be equal to minus xi, and this will be less than or equal to 0 because this is a maximization problem. Okay, so for notational convenience, we usually let x denote the vector of n decision variables x1, x2 to xn. Okay, that is x will be equal to x1, x2 to xn. So we write a short notation for this objective function. So we maximize f of x subject to gi of x, which is less than or equal to bi. Okay, so as in the linear programming, we are not restricted to this formulation. So in order to minimize f of x, we can of course maximize minus f of x. Okay, so this is another form, and the equality constraints we denote it as h of x will be equal to b can be written as two inequality constraints like h of x will be less than or equal to b and minus h of x will be less than or equal to minus b. So in addition, if we introduce a slack variable, each inequality constraint is transformed to an equality constraint. So thus sometimes we will consider an alternative equality form, that is nothing but maximization of f of x subject to hi of x will be equal to bi, and since this is a, even though it is a maximization problem, we are considering an alternative equality form such that xj will be greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so usually the problem context suggests either an equality or inequality formulation or a formulation with both the types of constraints can be considered. Okay, so the following three simplified examples illustrate how a nonlinear programs can arise in practice. So first one will be the portfolio selection. So an investor has $5,000 and two potential investments. So let xj for j is equal to 1 and j is equal to 2 denote his allocation to invest j in thousands of dollars. Okay, so from the data that we have investments 1 and 2 have an expected annual return of 20 and 16% respectively. And also the total risk involved with the investments 1 and 2 as measured by the variance of total return is given by 2x1 square plus x2 square plus x1 plus x2 the whole square. So that risk increases with the total investment and with the total amount of each individual investment. So the problem is nothing but the investor would like to maximize his expected return and at the same time he has to minimize his risk. So clearly it is clear that both of these objectives is not possible simultaneously. Okay, so there are several possible approaches for this. Say for example, he can minimize the risk subject to a constraint imposing a lower bound on the expected return, and alternatively can the expected return and the risk can be combined in an objective function, and this gives the model maximization of the objective function f of x to be equal to 20x1. Okay, so this is the first investment, annual return, expected annual return 20. So 20x1 plus 16x2 minus theta of the constraint 2x1 square plus x2 square plus x1 plus x2 the whole square. So then we are subtracting a slack variable. Okay, subject to g1 of x will be equal to x1 plus x2 less than or equal to 5, and x1 will be greater than or equal to 0 and x2 will be greater than or equal to 0. So here the non-negative constant theta reflects his trade-off between the risk and return. So if suppose theta will be equal to 0, then the model is a linear program and he will invest completely in the investment with greatest expected return. So for every large theta, the objective contribution due to the expected return becomes negligible and he is essentially minimizing his risk. So the next problem will be water resource planning. So here in a regional water planning, sources emitting pollutants might be required to remove the waste from the water system. So let us assume that Xj be the pounds of biological oxygen demand to be removed at source Xj. So one model might be to minimize the total cost to the region to meet specified pollution standards. Okay, so we are considering the problem of minimizing the objective function. So therefore, we are using minimization of subject summation j is equal to 1 to n fj of xj subject to the constraints summation of j is equal to 1 to n aij xj greater than or equal to bi. Okay, where I varies from 1 to m and 0 less than or equal to xj less than or equal to uj, where j varies from 1 to n. Okay, so here they are explaining the what the each variable means. So fj of xj means cost of removing xj pounds of biological oxygen demand at source j, and bi means the minimum desired improvement in water quality at point I in the system, and AIJ means the quality response at point I in the water system caused by removing 1 pound of biological oxygen demand at source J, and UJ will be equal to the maximum pounds of biological oxygen demand that can be removed at source J. Okay, so the third model would be the constrained regression. So here, suppose a university wishes to assess the job placements of its graduates. Say for example, it assumes that each graduate accepts either a government job, an industrial or an academic position. Okay, so let Nj denote the number of graduates in the year J. Okay, so j will be 1, 2 to n, and let gj, ij and aj denote the number entering government, industry and academia respectively. In the year j, okay, so we'll be having gj plus ij plus aj, and that will be equal to the total number of graduates in the first year or second year or n number of years. Okay, so one model being considered assumes that a given fraction of the student population joins each job category each year. So if these fractions are denoted as lambda 1, lambda 2 and lambda 3, then the predicted number entering the job categories in the year j is given by the expressions gj negation. Here this notation denotes negation, which will be equal to lambda 1 into nj. Okay, so this lambda 1 is nothing but a fraction of the total population nj. Okay, so then ij negation will be equal to lambda 2 nj and aj negation will be equal to lambda 3 nj. So a reasonable performance measure of the model's validity might be the difference between the actual number of graduates gj, ij and aj entering the three job categories, and the predicted numbers would be gj negation, ij negation and aj negation as the least squares estimate. So we can write it as minimization of summation over j is equal to 1 to n of gj minus gj negation the whole square plus ij minus ij negation the whole square plus aj minus aj negation the whole square, subject to the constraints that all the graduates are employed in one of the professions. So in terms of the fractions entering each profession, the model can be written as minimization of summation j is equal to 1 to n, gj minus, instead of gj negation, we substitute these three values, lambda 1 nj the whole square plus ij minus lambda 2 nj the whole square plus aj minus lambda 3 nj the whole square, subject to the constraints lambda 1 plus lambda 2 plus lambda 3 will be equal to 1. So where since this is a minimization problem, the symbol we use will be greater than or equal to. Okay, so this is a non-linear program and three variables, lambda 1, lambda 2 and lambda 3, and we can also, and the objective function can also be changed in the following format. Okay, so in this lecture next we will be discussing about the Kuhn-Tucker conditions. Okay, so with examples for a point to be a local optimum in case of a function subject to a certain inequality constraints. Okay, so what is the Kuhn-Tucker condition? So it was previously established that for both an unconstrained optimization problem and an optimization problem with an equality constraint, the first order conditions are sufficient for a global optimum, and the objective and the constructive functions satisfy appropriate concavity or convexity conditions. So the same is true for an optimization problem with inequality constraints. So here the Kuhn-Tucker conditions are both necessary and sufficient if the objective function is concave, and each constraint is said to be linear if the constraint function is concave. Okay, so that is the problems belongs to a class called the convex programming problems. So now let us consider the following optimization problem where we minimize f of x subject to given constraints gj of x less than or equal to 0. Okay, so then the Kuhn-Tucker conditions for x star will be equal to x1 star, x2 star to x1, xn star to be a local minimum, and it will be denoted by dou f by dou xi. This is the objective function we are differentiating with respect to xi, plus summation over j is equal to 1 to m lambda j dou j by dou xi will be equal to 0, where I will be equal to 1, 2 to n, and these are the constraints given along with the fractions. So lambda j into jj will be equal to 0 and gj will be less than or equal to 0 and lambda j will be greater than or equal to 0. So we consider all this to be equation 1. And in the case of a minimization problems, if the constraints are of the form gj of x greater than or equal to 0, then lambda j have to be non-positive. Okay, so therefore we are specifying with a less than or equal to 0. Okay, on the other hand, if the problem is one of the maximization with the constraints of the form Gj of greater than or equal to 0, then lambda j have to be non-negative, that is it must be positive. So it may be noted that the sign convention has to be strictly followed for the Kuhn-Tucker conditions to be applicable. So now let us consider this example. So we have to minimize f to be f, the objective function f is equal to x1 square plus 2x2 square plus 3x3 square, subject to the constraints g1 is equal to x1 minus x2 minus 2x3, which is less than or equal to 12, and g2 will be equal to gx1 plus 2x2 minus 3x3 less than or equal to 8 using the Kuhn-Tucker conditions. Okay, so now let us see the solution. So the Kuhn-Tucker conditions are given by this formula, that is dou f by dou xi plus lambda 1 into dou g1 by dou xy xi plus lambda 2 into dou g2 by dou xi must be equal to 0. Okay, so now let us differentiate the objective functions based on this notations. So we will get from equation 1, when we differentiate, we get 2x1 plus lambda 1 plus lambda 2 to be equal to 0. We name it as equation 2. And 4x2 minus lambda 1 plus 2 lambda 2 will be equal to 0. We name it as equation 3. And 6x3 minus 2 lambda 1 minus 3 lambda 2 will be equal to 0, and we name it as equation 4. Then we have to find this notation, that is lambda j gj is equal to 0. So lambda 1 into the first constraint x1 minus x2 minus 2x3 minus 12 will be equal to 0, and the second constraint will be lambda 2 into x1 plus 2x2 minus 2x3 minus 8 will be equal to 0. So these are equations 5 and 6. And then the third step will be, we have to find out gj must be less than or equal to 0. So only the constraints we denote it as less than or equal to 0, and we name it as equation 7 and 8. And then next step would be lambda j must be greater than or equal to 0, that is lambda 1 greater than or equal to 0, lambda 2 greater than or equal to 0. So from equation 5, either lambda 1 is equal to 0 or this full term x1 minus x2 minus 2 x3 minus 12 will be equal to 0. Okay, so now we have so far we have found out all the constraints and all the notations needed for the solution. So now we'll move on to the solution. For case 1, suppose lambda 1 equal to 0. So from equations 2, 3 and 4, we'll receive x1, x2 and x3 values. And using these values in equation 6, we get lambda 2 value. So from equation 10, we have that lambda 2 must be greater than or equal to 0. So therefore, lambda 2, we take the value as lambda 2 equal to 0. So the solution set would be like x star will be equal to 0, 0, 0. So this solution set satisfies all of equations from equation 6 to equations 9. Okay, so this is one case, and the next case would be, we have to substitute x1 minus x2 minus 2x3 minus 12 to be equal to 0, and using equations 2, 3 and 4, we will be getting these values as follows, or we'll be having 17 lambda 1 plus 12 lambda 2 to be equal to minus 144. But the conditions in equations 9 and 10 gives us lambda 1 lambda 2 to be greater than or equal to 0, right? So which cannot be possible with this given constraint. So hence the solution set for this optimization problem is x star to be equal to 0, 0, 0. So now we'll move on to example 2. So here we have to minimize f to be equal to x1 square plus x2 square plus 60x1, subject to the constraints g1 to be equal to x1 minus 80 greater than or equal to 0, and g2 to be equal to x1 plus x2 minus 120 greater than or equal to 0 using the Kuhn-Tucker conditions. So we follow the same method. So the Kuhn-Tucker conditions are given by this notation, and so based on this we are substituting and we are finding the value, we are differentiating this notation objective function, and we get 2x1 plus 60 plus lambda 1 plus lambda 2. Okay, since we are differentiating with respect to x1, the x2 terms is removed. Okay, so then we are differentiating with respect to the x2 terms, the objective function. So we get 2x2 plus lambda 2 is equal to 0. So we name it as equation 11 and 12. And then again the next step would be lambda j into gj to be equal to 0. So lambda 1 into x1 minus 80. This is the first constraint. And lambda 2 into x1 plus x2 minus 120 to be equal to 0. So this is the second constraint. And gj must be less than or equal to 0. So this value, that is the first constraint, and second constraint must be greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so since this is a minimization problem, we are specifying it as a greater than or equal to, and lambda j must be less than or equal to 0. So lambda 1 less than or equal to 0 and lambda 2 less than or equal to 0. And we name it as equation 17 and 18. So from equation 13, either lambda 1 will be equal to 0 or x1 minus 80 will be equal to 0. Okay, so we consider these two cases. So case 1 would be lambda 1 to be equal to 0. Solving equation 11 and 12, we get x1, x2 values, and using x1, x2 in equation 14, we get lambda 2 to be equal to 0 or minus 150. And considering lambda 2 equal to 0, we get x star to be equal to 30 comma 0. Okay, so but this solution set violates equation 15 and 16. For lambda 2 to be equal to minus 150, we get x star is equal to 45 comma 75. So but this solution set violates again equation 15. Okay, so now we move on to next step, that is case 2. x1 minus 80 will be equal to 0. So using x1 to equal to 80 in equations 11 and 12, we have lambda 2 is equal to minus 2x2 and lambda 1 to be equal to 2x2 minus 220. Okay, so we substitute this equation 19 in equation 14, where we have minus 2x2 into x2 minus 40 to be equal to 0. So for this to be true, either x2 must be equal to 0 or x2 minus 40 must be equal to 0. So for x2 is equal to 0, we get 11 lambda 1 to be equal to minus 220. So we see that the solution set violates equation 15 and 16. And for x2 minus 40 to be equal to 0, we get lambda 1 to be equal to minus 140 and lambda 2 to be equal to minus 80. Okay, so this solution set is satisfying all the equations from 15 to 19, and hence we receive the desired solution. Okay, so therefore the solution set for this optimization problem is x star to be equal to 80, 40. Okay, so next we'll move on to the method of Lagrange multipliers. So this method of Lagrange multipliers, it is a general mathematical technique that can be used for solving constrained optimization problems that consists of a nonlinear objective function and one or more linear or nonlinear constrained equations. So in this method, the constraints as multiples of a Lagrange multiplier, and we specify it as lambda, are subtracted from the objective function. Okay, so to demonstrate this method, we will use our modified pottery company example. Okay, so we can, so we have one example here. So this model will be like as follows. We have to maximize the given objective function z to be equal to the given values and subject to the constraints x1 plus 2x2 equal to 40, and the first step is to transform the nonlinear objective function into a Lagrangian function. So this is accomplished by transforming the constraint equation as follows, where x1 plus 2x2 minus 40 is equal to 0. We bring the 40 to the left hand side, and the next step would be we are using this, multiplying this constraint with the lambda and subtracting this value in the objective function. So L is equal to 4x1 minus 0.1 x1 square plus 5x2 minus 0.2 x2 square minus the Lagrangian multiplier. Okay. So because this constraint equation now equals 0, the subtraction of the constraint multiplied by lambda from the objective function does not affect the value of the function. So now what we are going to do is we are using the partial derivatives of the Lagrangian function with respect to each of the three variables, that is x1 with respect to x1, x2 and lambda. So we are differentiating the given function, this function L, with respect to x1 we get this value, with respect to x2 we get this equation, and differentiating with respect to lambda we get this equation. So we are solving these three equations. Okay, we are equating it to 0, and all these three equations are solved as follows. Okay, so to solve these equations simultaneously, we multiply the first equation by -2 and add it to the second equation, which eliminates the lambda. Okay, so we get the resulting equation like this, and this new equation and the original preceding third equation represent two equations with two unknowns, x1 and x2. Okay, so we get these values. So therefore, solving these two equations, we get the value of x2. Okay, so the value of x2 would be 10.8 marks, and substituting this in the previous equations, we get the value of x1 as 18.3 bowls, and substituting again, we get lambda to be equal to 0.33. Okay, so substituting the values for x1 and x2 into the original objective function yields the total profit. So finally, we substitute all the x1, x2 and lambda values in the given objective function z. So the total outcome would be $70.42. Okay. So to summarize, we have x1 to be equal to 18.3 bowls and x2 to be equal to 10.8 marks, and the total profit would be $70.42, and lambda will be equal to 0.33. Okay, so this is the same answer obtained previously using the substitution method. However, unlike the substitution method, the Lagrangian multiplier approach can be used to solve nonlinear programming problems with more complex constraint equations and the inequality constraints. Okay, so the Lagrangian multiplier method must be altered to compensate for inequality constraints and additional variables, and the resulting mathematics will be very difficult. Okay, so as the size of the problem increases, the mathematics becomes overwhelmingly difficult. Okay, so we have to minimize the size of the problem. Okay, so the meaning of lambda is nothing but we are using this Lagrangian multiplier lambda. It is similar to the dual variables in a linear programming problem. Okay, so it reflects the approximate change in the objective function resulting from a unit change in the quantity value of the constraint equation. So for in our example, we will increase the quantity value in the constraint equation from 40 to 41 hours of labor. Okay, so we are using the same constraints as we used previously. So x1 plus 2x2, instead of 40 we substitute 41, and the resulting constraint equation using the Lagrangian function would be 4x1 minus 0.1 x1 square plus 5x2 minus 0.2 x2 square minus lambda into x1 plus 2x2 minus 41. Okay, so solving this problem based on the previous method, that is based on the previous example, we'll be having the values of x1, x2, lambda as such, and z will be equal to $70.75. So we can see that this value for z is $0.33 greater than the previous z value. Okay, so thus a 1 unit increase in the right hand side of the constraint equation results in a lambda increase in the objective function. Okay, so I hope you can understand this. So more specifically, a unit increase in a resource or the labor results in a $0.33 increase in the profit. So thus we would be willing to pay $0.33 for one additional hour of labor. Okay, so in general, if lambda is positive, the optimal objective function value will increase if the quantity value in the constraint equation is increased, and it will decrease if the quantity value is decreased. So on the other hand, if lambda is negative, the optimal objective function value will increase if the quantity value is decreased, and it will decrease if the quantity value is increased. Okay, so now let us move on to another example. Okay, so a rectangular box without a lid is to be made from 12 meters square of cardboard. So we have to find the maximum volume of such a box. So let x, y and z be the length, width and height respectively of the box in meters, and b will be equal to x, y, z. Based on the constraints, g of xyz would be equal to 2xz plus 2yz plus xy will be equal to 12. And using the Lagrangian multipliers, we have to differentiate each function with respect to x and y and z. Okay, we are multiplying this Lagrangian multiplier lambda also. Okay, so using these notations, we receive the equations as follows. Yz to be equal to lambda into 2z plus y. Xz will be equal to lambda into 2z plus x. And xy will be equal to lambda into 2x plus 2y. And 2xz plus 2yz plus xy will be equal to 12. So we solve these equations. Okay, just like how you solve an algebraic equation, we solve these equations and we get xyz, that is left hand side will all be identical. Okay, so these will be specified as equation 6, 7 and 8, and it is observed that lambda will be equal to 0. So therefore from equation 6 and 7 will solving we get 2xz plus xy will be equal to 2yz plus xy, which gives xz will be equal to yz, but z will be not equal to 0. So x is equal to y. And from equation 7 and 8 we have 2yz plus xy will be equal to 2xz plus 2yz, which gives 2xz is equal to xy. And so since x is not equal to 0, we get y is equal to 2z. And if we now put x to be equal to y to be equal to 2z in equation 5, we get the required value as 4z square plus 4z square plus 4z square will be equal to 12. So since x, y and z are all positive, we therefore have z is equal to 1, and so x is equal to 2 and y is equal to 2. Okay, so that is the solution. And now we'll move on to quadratic programming. So it is nothing but the linear programming model is a very powerful tool for the analysis of a wide variety of problems in science, industry, engineering and business. However, it does have its limits. So not all phenomena are linear, and once non-linearities enter the picture on linear programming model or LP model, it is as best only at the first order approximation. The next level of complexity beyond the linear programming is called the quadratic programming. Okay, so this model allows us to include the non-linearities of a quadratic nature into the objective function. Okay, so mainly Markowitz mean variance models of uncertainty in the selection of optimal portfolios. Using this quadratic programming in this model is very useful. Okay, so now let me explain the definition of a quadratic program. So a quadratic program is an optimization problem wherein one either minimizes or maximizes a quadratic objective function of a finite number of decision variable subject to a finite number of non-linear or linear inequality or equality constraints. So a quadratic function of a finite number of variables, x will be equal to x1, x2 to xn, the whole power t, is any function of the form f of x. Okay, so this is the objective function here. So f of x will be equal to alpha plus summation of j is equal to 1 to n cj xj plus half into summation of k is equal to 1 to n, j is equal to 1 to n, qkj, xk and xj. So these are the coefficients of both the xk and xj variables, and using the matrix notation, this expression simplifies to alpha plus c power t of x. Okay, so this notation we are specifying as c power t of x plus half into x power t qx. Okay. So using the matrix notation, we got the simplified expression where C will be equal to C1, C2 to Cn. So this is a column variable, column matrix, and Q will be equal to Q11, Q12 to Q1n, likewise Q11 to Qn1. So the factor of 1/2 preceding the quadratic term in the function f is included for the sake of convenience, since it simplifies the expressions for the first and second derivatives of f. So without loss of generality, we may assume that the matrix Q is symmetric, since xt of qx will be equal to x power t qx, the whole power t will be equal to x power t q power t x, which will be equal to half into the given value xt qx plus x power t qtx. These two values are added, okay, which will be again be equal to x power t q plus qt by 2 the whole x. So we are free to replace the matrix q by the symmetric matrix q plus qt by 2. So henceforth we'll assume that the matrix q is symmetric. So this is a standard quadratic programming form. So we have to minimize ct of x plus half into x power t qx subject to a constraint x ax is less than or equal to b and 0 must be less than or equal to x. Okay, so next we have to check for the optimality conditions. So we are using the Lagrangian for where q is the function as the optimality condition. So L of x comma y comma z must be equal to half into x power t qx plus ct into x plus yt into ax minus b. This is one constraint, and minus z power tx where 0 less than or equal to y and 0 less than or equal to z. We can also mention it as y greater than or equal to 0 or z greater than or equal to 0. So the Karush-Kuhn-Tucker conditions become, so this is, we are checking for optimality, okay. So these are the given conditions. The primal feasibility we have to check with the given constraints, and the dual feasibility we have to check with the given variables y and z, and the complementarity we have to check with the given conditions, and the stationarity must be defined, must be proved based on the given conditions. Okay, so based on this, we will be defining the Karush-Kuhn-Tucker conditions for Q, and for a pair x comma y belonging to a real Rn into Rm is said to be a Karush-Kuhn-Tucker pair for the quadratic program Q if and only if the following conditions are satisfied. So that is the primal feasibility, dual feasibility, and complementarity must satisfied. Only then we will be able to proceed with the quadratic programming. So far in this lecture, we have learned the following. So we saw about the introduction to nonlinear integer programming, and we saw a few examples based on the Kuhn-Tucker conditions, and one example based on Lagrangian multipliers method, and only the definition of a quadratic programming. So thanks for watching.